Have you ever felt stuck and unfulfilled? Do you wonder what sets successful individuals apart? And how mastering your mindset could unlock a world of opportunities and success? Do you want to unleash your inner powerhouse and activate your inner potential? Are you ready to turn obstacles into opportunities and learn actionable strategies to unleash your inner greatness? Join me after the intro for a conversation with a very special friend with whom we will answer these and many more questions. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's start. Hi, I'm Rossana D, and this is Forgive and Thrive, a podcast where we explore what thriving in life means and how we can achieve it, irrespective of our past, current condition, and expectations that those around us or society in general may have. Let's go. Welcome to the Forgive and Thrive show. Have you ever felt like there is this incredible power just simmering beneath the surface, but you don't quite know how to tap into it? Maybe you had caught glimpse of it, a moment of courage, a surge of creativity, a time when you absolutely nailed something you were unsure about. But those moments seem fleeting, like a shooting star that strikes across the sky for a brief, beautiful moment and then disappears. But what if that powerhouse wasn't just a fleeting feeling, but a real force waiting to be unleashed within you? What if we all had this incredible potential, this inner reservoir of strength, passion, and capability just waiting to be ignited? What if we could learn how to access it, how to turn that simmer into a full-on roar? So today we embark on a journey of self-discovery and transformation. From mastering mindset to embracing authenticity, we want to explore the keys to unleashing the boundless energy and capability within each of us. And we dive into this fascinating topic in a conversation with today's guest, Kimberly Crowe. Kimberly is an award-winning international speaker, TEDx speaker, and best-selling author known for her high energy and fun approach to helping people unlock their full potential. After leaving an unfulfilling corporate career, Kimberly built her business around empowering entrepreneurs, coaches, and business leaders to achieve extraordinary results. She is a dynamic host of Speakers Playhouse, a weekly online event that connects speakers and show hosts, and the founder of Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel, a thriving community for personal and professional growth. Kimberly's mission is to inspire others to create the life they deserve by doing what they love. And she believes that if it's not fun, it's not worth doing. Amen. Hi, Kimberly. Welcome to the Forgive and Try show. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Rosanna, thank you so much for having me. What a delightful introduction. I'm excited to be talking about unleashing that powerhouse that is inside each and every one of us.
Absolutely. And I have to say, I think we all need that because no matter where we are in life, there is still something that perhaps we can unleash within us, a strength that perhaps we didn't notice before, a little passion that perhaps we have left behind in the corner out of whatever responsibility, commitments, whatever. But I think everybody can really benefit from this conversation. So I'm really eager to dive into that. But before going into that, to be honest, I would love to know more about you, how you started. I read your bio and there was this little line, unfulfilling career in corporate, that perhaps started a process with you and with your own life. So I'm eager to know a little bit, if you don't mind, about that.
Absolutely. So I probably, like a lot of your listeners, I did what they told us to do. I went to school, I went to college, I graduated with a degree, and I went and got a good job with health insurance, right? And I worked in corporate at a Fortune 1000 company. And so there was a lot of opportunity for growth. And I eagerly went in to please and did well and got promoted multiple times. And I started climbing that corporate ladder that sometimes we do. And so I was promoted and promoted many times over. I was there for about 17 years. 15 of them were really good. The last two, not so much. I think that's when I realized that I was on a corporate ladder that I was climbing, and it was a ladder I didn't even want to be on. It was not fulfilling anymore. It wasn't joyful. As I got to this, I got to an executive director level position as I sort of peeked behind the curtain to look at the other people who were at my level and above. They seemed all to be very unhappy. They were all bitter and angry. Many of them were very unhealthy. They were mean to their employees in some cases. They were, in bad relationships or divorcing. And not that there's anything wrong with getting a divorce when it's appropriate, but somehow I just thought, these are not the people I want to be when I grow up. I just don't want to do that and turn into somebody like that. And there weren't very many openings once you get to that level. There weren't very many opportunities or openings. And so you sort of start to feel stuck in a position. So after a few months, I realized that I didn't want to be there, and I turned in my resignation, and they made accommodation to keep me because I'd been a good employee for many years. And so they found other potential positions for me, and I did that for a while, and that still wasn't really great. And then another position, and they were trying to sort of make accommodation. And finally, we both realized that it just wasn't a fit anymore. And so after a couple of years, I would fully resign. And through mutual agreement, we did that, and I left with a nice package, and we left on very good terms, which is fortunate. I think if I'd stayed any longer, it probably would not have ended so positively, because sometimes we try to make something work. That's just not good for anybody. So I left, and I decided to be a full-time entrepreneur. Now, perhaps some of your audience has done some little entrepreneurship on the side, like I did. I had done like an MLM, which is a direct sales company where we sold diet products sort of on the side. I had done like parties and things like that, and had built some entrepreneurships on the side, but nothing that was substantial. So I told my friends and family, I would love to build an entrepreneurship, and I want to be an entrepreneur, but I want to build a business to $1 million. And I think that that number, we just pull it out of the sky, but many people think that that would be the ultimate achievement. And so I thought, but what would I do? I don't want to do this direct sales. I don't want to, I'm not sure what to do. And my friends and family very helpfully said, well, you were so good at corporate at what you did there. Why don't you just do that, but on your own? And I thought, that's a great idea because I know how to do this business. I'm good at it. I climbed the ladder, and I can do every aspect of it. I know how to hire employees, how to write contracts, how to find clients, how to do sales, how to deliver. I know all of the pieces of this business. So yes, I think that would be great. And I did. And in 18 months, I created $1 million in revenue. I had reached that pinnacle, but I was very unhappy. When you think that you have achieved this amazing dream, that you set that goal out there and then you achieve it, you have sometimes what they call post goal depression. It's not a clinical depression, but it was a very disappointing journey where you get to this thing that you think is going to make you happy, and it doesn't. And that's where I was. And I didn't really know what was wrong, but I just knew I didn't want to do it anymore. I'd built this business that I didn't want to do. Well, when I was at corporate, I was in what they call golden handcuffs. And that's where you're making so much money that it doesn't make sense to quit. And that was bad enough. But now what I had created was sort of a golden jail cell that I built myself because I had clients and contracts and people and employees that were counting on me to deliver. And I couldn't just quit because it was me. It was me that had created it. So I fell into a little bit of a crisis and went out one day and decided not to go to work. I left my employees in charge, and I said, I won't be coming in today and maybe for a few days. And I went out on a hike to the top of a mountain, which was nearby. And I thought I'd find the answer at the top of the mountain. And of course, Rosanna, it was not up there. So I came back down, and my son met me at the door, and he said, Mom, I have a problem. And I thought, great, somebody else's problem to focus on for a change. So I said, well, what is it? And he said, well, I'm 15 and a half this summer, and that's too young to get a summer job. And it's too old to go to summer camp again because that's boring and stupid now that I'm 15 and a half. So I don't know what I'm going to do this summer. And I thought, well, why don't we create a business, an entrepreneurship around what you love doing just for fun? And his eyes got really big and he said, can we do that? And I said, yeah. And he's thinking that he can make a little side money. And I'm thinking it would look good on a college education application, right? And so we did. We created a business around what he loved doing. And it turned out to be that he loved reading audiobooks, or he loved reading books to kids in libraries, and he loved acting on stages. And so we created a business around him being an audiobook narrator. And he started narrating audiobooks for authors. And it was very fun and a little bit lucrative. And we had a great time doing it. In fact, we had so much fun that our business grew tenfold very quickly. In fact, we had so much business we couldn't handle it all. We didn't have time to read all the books. So we decided that we would hire and help some other people learn how to be audiobook narrators. So we taught a class on how to be an audiobook narrator and voiceover artist. And we had even more fun doing that, where we were teaching other people this really fun job where they could make some money on the side doing something that they loved doing that was super fun. And all this energy sort of came out of us, bubbling up. And I realized this is what we're supposed to feel like. This is what we're supposed to feel like all the time. And we're supposed to live in the joy. We're supposed to find the things that we think are really fun to do. Now, there might be people in your audience who are like, I never would want to do that. Like, that doesn't sound fun at all. And that's great. For us, it was so fun. And we were doing it because we were doing the thing that we thought was fun. And that's where my motto came from. If it's not fun, it's not worth doing. Now, I don't do the audiobook business anymore. That sort of transitioned out. My son went back to school. He's in his 20s now and doing great. He works full time and he's also got an entrepreneurship on the side. He doesn't do audiobooks at all anymore, but it was that revelation, that realization that we had something inside that was important to live out for the universe. And it wasn't just doing the things that other people told us to do. And it wasn't doing things just because we were good at it. It was doing things that we loved doing, that we were having fun doing. So that's where my motto came from. If it's not fun, it's not worth doing.
Mm. I love your story, and I've been smiling all along because there are lots of things that I could resonate with my own life and my corporate job. But there is one particular word that came to my mind listening to your story, and that is success, or what we are told success is, or should be like. And very often we realize that that idea is actually wrong. It doesn't work for us. So how do you define success today?
Oh, I am a very big fan of law of attraction. I'm a big follower of Wayne Dyer and Abraham Hicks. And I believe that the universe wants us to really find joy in what we love doing. And if we are in joy, then I think we're on the right path. And if we're frustrated and trying to make things work, then we are not. And I think that was my mistake at corporate. And while I was climbing that ladder and having fun and doing well, I also was trying to make it work toward the end. I thought, man, I've been here for 15 years and they love me. And I don't know why I'm not happy anymore. And I know that I don't want to do this. And I can't find, like, I'm going to try to make this work, or I'm just going to stick it out, or I'm going to really, I'm going to try harder. And I think that's when we get into trouble, when we think we have this ability to like overlook our unhappiness for the sake of making something work. And I think that the universe is smarter than we are, and the universe will keep making tough things happen until we figure out that we don't belong there anymore, that we need to move in another direction. It's going to make it more and more and more uncomfortable until we finally realize it's time for us to make a change. And that's my belief. So if you are feeling like you are enjoying it, great. If you feel like you're having fun, and if you have a bad day or two or three, that's normal, right? There are times where it's just like, this is super frustrating, or this client is driving me crazy, or whatever. That's fine. But if it's going on for weeks or months or years, then it's really time to look at it. Like, what is the universe telling you about being here that you're not listening to anymore? And that power, that instinct that's inside you, knowing that this is not right anymore. Are you listening to that part? And are you following that lead?
Again, I have chills because it's so true. Sometimes we get so attached to everything that is happening, and it's so hard sometimes to let them go. We want
Yes.
absolutely everything to happen that way. And funny enough, when you release a little bit that pressure, things start to fall into place. And I love this message. Things don't have to be complicated.
Yeah.
So how do you listen to that inner voice, and how can you unlock that genius that you have inside?
Yeah, I think we've been sort of trained to push through all during school. The one of the most difficult things for me to look at in the way that we school children is that children in school are taught to go find the right answer of everything, right? Like, go find the right answer. And then the right answer is out there somewhere. Maybe it's in a book, or maybe somebody else has it. And then they have to write that right answer on a piece of paper, and then they give it to somebody else to check to make sure the answer is right. And everything is external, everything is out of you. Like, we're teaching the kids that they don't have any of the right answers, they have to go find them. And I think that while some of that is true, we don't know everything when we're born, right? We do have instincts that tell us what's right and what's wrong, what's right and what we know to be right. And I think that when we deny children the right to be able to see and feel their own instincts about what's right for them, then we run into all kinds of civic problems, right? We have people misjudging themselves and entering into bad relationships and thinking, well, I need to make this work, or it's probably my fault and I need to do better and I need to push through. When really it might be just the universe saying, this is wrong for you. Doesn't it feel wrong? If you like just listen to your own gut, like if it feels wrong, it might be wrong. And you might like go somewhere else. Now, it's never, like you said, it's not easy. I know, Rosanna, when I left corporate, one of my big fears, which is silly now looking back at it, but maybe viewers or your folks will resonate. I could not change my LinkedIn profile. I could not go in there and say, I'm no longer doing this. I'm doing something completely different that didn't make any sense. And it was so nerve-wracking for me to go in and look at that LinkedIn profile, which still said I was doing the same old, same old. And I thought, I'm just in such denial. But if I change my LinkedIn profile, then who am I? How will the world react to me suddenly being a speaker and a teacher and an online trainer? And what will people think of me, right? And that was a real stopping point for me. I had already changed my career. I jumped two or three times to do other things, and then I sort of found my niche, teaching speakers, entrepreneurs, coaches, authors to get on a podcast or other stages, speaking opportunities, to share a little bit about who they are and how they show up in the world. And that's what I teach now. But it's so diametrically opposed to where I was in corporate that putting that on my LinkedIn profile was like the hardest thing for me to do, because I thought, what will they think? How will they judge me? How will they respond? Will they say, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that? And it was so, once I did it, it was so a non-issue. Like, it didn't even, nobody even said anything. Nobody was really paying all that much of attention. But it was so hard for me to give up that first identity, because that's what I was known for. And I knew that I didn't want to do it for the rest of my life. In fact, I told people the industry that I was in, I'll share with you, is it was staffing, like technical staffing. So I worked for large corporations who were hiring programmers and designers and drafters, like high end technical staffing for those folks. But I thought, I don't want to die and have on my tombstone, she was really great at staffing. Like, I just, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's not what I'm supposed to be doing for the rest of my life, even though I'm good at it. And I think that we get trapped sometimes by that idea that we're good at this. This is who I am. I should keep doing it instead of what feels right to me. What do I need? What do I want to do next? What do I have to give to the world next? What else is here for me? What should I be looking at instead? And once I shifted that and got more comfortable in my own skin, then I realized all of the people that I am helping in my new world that would not have gotten that help if I hadn't made that change. And that was all it took. And then I changed my LinkedIn profile because I thought, I want to step into this. I want to be all of me. I want to show up real in the world. And what am I hiding from?
Mm. Just for disclosure, I have two profiles, one with my name and one is for the podcast, and they are not connected at all.
Yes, right?
And I have exactly the same fear, if you like, that
Yes.
you experienced. And listening to what you said, there are a couple of things that came to my mind. One is really not listening and really pushing through, as you said. And the other
Mm.
is the feeling of judgment. What else can prevent us from unlocking our full potential? I think if we can spell it out, those two, three, four things that really keep us stuck, perhaps puts in our radar maybe things to notice and pay attention to. What do you say?
Well, you hit the nail on the head with the word judgment because I think that's what holds a lot of us back. Everyone that I know that is in speaking feels that fear of, I'm going to get on the stage, I'm going to grab the mic, I'm going to speak on a podcast, or I'm going to speak on a summit, or I'm going to do a Facebook Live. What will people think? What will they think? And how will they judge me? And that holds us back from making good decisions about what's right for us. And that is such a tragedy in the human experience. As I said, I'm a big fan of Wayne Dyer and some other folks that believe in law of attraction and wherever you are, if you believe in God or the universe or spirit or angels, there is some greater force out there that created scenarios for us to live out. And if we're refusing to live those out, if we're refusing to step into the gifts that we have and only stay in that safe space where we won't be judged, where we think we won't be judged, then we're not living our full potential. We're not unleashing that powerhouse that's inside us. And if we play small or if we say we're not worthy, then if you believe in God, that's blasphemy because you are a child of God. And if you think you're not worthy, that's saying God is not worthy, right? If you're part of the universe and you're a bigger expansion of the universe than saying I'm not here to expand, the universe is expansive. We are here to grow and develop and move and go and make things happen in our lives and the lives of other people. If you have spirits that are guiding you, or angels that are behind you, or ancestors that are pushing you forward and saying, "Go, like let's live bigger." I think that we need to listen to that. And those answers are not outside. They're not in somebody else's book. There is no right answer outside there. The answer is inside. And unleashing the powerhouse inside us is listening to that voice inside that wants to do something. And the judgment that stops us from doing that is our ego trying to keep us safe, but it's also helping us play small. And I think that's a disservice to God or the universe or whoever's behind us at that bigger power, that's made it possible for us to expand.
Mm. You mentioned a few words here again that I really loved, and it's development and growth. And
Mm.
I'm a strong advocate, at the very least, for personal development.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think that we stop developing ourselves the day we pass to a different life. But I was reading something on the connection between personal development and mental health. That
Ooh.
sometimes that made me think. So I would love to know your opinion about it. And it's the idea that sometimes there is an element of personal development and growth that can be dangerous in terms of mental health. And this that hustling kind of idea that, for example, we essentially we are never happy, to go back to what you mentioned before, that the happiness or joy will come with the next achievement, with the next big result.
Oh, yeah.
In never is never here in the moment, but is just in the future. And that can create a lot of disappointment, frustration, and we may not put ourselves in the best possible condition of exploiting that growth and that development. What do you think about it? What's your opinion?
Well, that's a really good question. And I think that in my opinion, we are part of eternal beings in some way. We are eternal or part of the thing that continues to go on past us. And I believe that we will never get it done, but we are here to enjoy the process. We're here to enjoy the expansion. We're here to enjoy the experience on behalf of the universe. And if we don't do that, then we're not giving the universe the opportunity to expand in that way. So if we allow ourselves to say, well, I will be happy when, then we're cutting ourselves off from being happy now. And there are people all over the world in all walks of life that are unhappy, and people all over the world in all walks of life that are happy. And it could be just for a moment, or it could be for a lifetime, or it could be anywhere in between. And I think that happiness is a choice, joy is a choice. And if we focus on the things that we are joyful for, and we live in that experience, that we live in the fun, we live in the happy, that and we focus on that, that we can have that at any stage in our life, no matter where we are. We could be starving in Africa, and our neighborhood kid comes over to play, and we kick a ball together. Maybe we lost the ball, and we like make a ball out of a coconut shell, right? Like you can experience happy no matter where you are, and you can experience deep levels of pain no matter where you are. I was just reading an article about how much, this is so interesting, how much billionaire children, the children of billionaires, suffer with money because they are brought up in this world where money is so abundant, and they are now responsible for living in that abundance and either creating more because they've been given so much and now they have to create abundance and billions as well, or they're failures, or if they can't have the four Maseratis, that they're not as good as their friends that started another business of their own with daddy's money or mommy's money or whoever's it is, like, and they're just so miserable, and they feel like such failures, and they're bazillionaires. Like, it's so interesting how much we live in the experience of pain or pleasure, depending on what our choice is. And we could be on any point in that spectrum. And I mean, none of us get out of here alive. So all of us have had pain at some point in our life, some much more grievous than others. I don't mean to undermine anybody's childhood terrible experience or whatever it was, but you can choose to continue to live that and remember that every day. Or you can choose to realize that you now have, what do you have? Do you have a home? Do you have a house that you live in? Does running water come out of the spigot anytime that you want it? Is the grocery store right down the road so you can get yourself a diet soda when you feel like it? Is it, like, what is the great part of your life right now? Do you have a car that takes you anywhere you want to go? Can you get in an airplane and fly to another country if you want to? Like, what's wonderful about your life right now? And I think that living in that is unleashing that power. And when you get around somebody who lives in that happiness, they are so attractive. Don't you feel like when you're next to somebody and they're just living the dream and everything's happening and they're happy and they're going through some stuff, but they're just joyous about it. Don't you want to be around them more than the people who are like, everything's awful and I'm not happy with my husband or my wife and my kids don't listen to me and my boss doesn't like me, and they're now like those are people that you don't want to be around that aren't so attractive. So I think if we live in the happy, the joy, the positivity, I think we become more attractive, and and other beings see that power, that light, that happiness. And I think that really is what I'm seeking in this lifetime. And it took me a while to get here, as I hope, many of you have gotten here much earlier than me. And I think that that's amazing. And if not, hopefully this might trigger something that can start you down that path to happiness. Every religion that I know has some form of gratitude practice, right? What are you thankful for? Count your blessings. What are saying grace before a meal? Every religion, every culture has some sort of gratitude practice in it so that you can focus on what's positive in your life. And I think that's the power that we need to tap into.
Beautiful. So, from journaling and having this appreciation for whatever is happening in our life, what other strategies or techniques or routines do you have to maintain this resilience and perseverance, perhaps in the face of adversity or challenges or pain or failures, whatever?
Yeah. I won't say that I don't have setbacks or bad days or bad hours. I think that life is full of challenges. One of the things that I am really, truly grateful for is that at the end of the 15 years, when things started to get really uncomfortable for me, that they continued to get uncomfortable so that eventually I chose to jump out so that I could now live this other life, so that I could now experience these other things. So, as bad and awful as things got for me at the end, and it did, like, there were some really rough times toward the end, but I think that uncomfortableness makes us aware, like, I just don't want to do this anymore. I want to do anything else. And that is sometimes the leverage, the crowbar that gets us out of that situation. It might be for other people, it might be a relationship where they're in a relationship with somebody and they're sticking it out and they're not being treated well and they're not happy and they're in abusive situations, or whether it's verbally or physically, and they just need some sort of situation to occur that gets bad enough so that they move out of that situation, or they correct the situation, or they make some sort of change, because I think that even the bad stuff is trying to tell us something. The things that we're really struggling with, our lessons are what Abraham Hicks would call contrast. So you have the opportunity to see two things. Like, I see this and I know that it's painful. So do I stick with it and stick with the pain, or do I choose something else? And being able to know that you have that choice when you come up against contrast, then you, even if you feel like you don't have a choice, we all have a choice. Even when you feel stuck, you aren't as stuck as you think you are. The universe is continuing to move forward. The world is continuing to expand. There are things that you have options with. One inspirational quote that I got was from a gentleman by the name of Howard Thurman. Howard Thurman was a mentor to Martin Luther King Jr., who was so inspirational to so many. And he said, do not ask what the world needs you to do. Ask what lights you up, because what the world needs are more people that are lit up.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, this is what I have to live by. This is so beautiful, because yes, what lights us up is different. I get lit up by many different things that are different from my children or my ex-husband or my parents or my friends, and they get lit up by other stuff. Like, I personally, my ex-husband loves going to concerts. He's a great guy and we get along very well. He loves going to concerts. I would much rather do anything else than go to a concert and be like shoulder to shoulder with other people and music blasting. And I love travel. I travel a lot. In fact, I travel full time. I decided when my youngest went off to college, He was no longer 15 and a half. He was going off to college, and he left our family home. And I had filed for divorce. We were moving on to new other pastures. And I decided that I would rent out the house and I would start traveling full time. So we sold all the furniture, everything. I left with 2 suitcases and I was heading to hotels and Airbnbs, and I was just going to travel full time for about 6 months. It ended up being, it's still going on, and it's been 4 years that I've been traveling full time. And I tell people that, and there's people that will listen to this podcast and they'll say, I would never want to do that. I traveled for work and it was exhausting, and I need a place to stay. That's great. That doesn't light them up. And that's awesome. But it lights me up. And it's just joyful for me to be today. I'm in Marbella, Spain, in the south of Spain. It's gorgeous out. I just came in to do this podcast from the ocean, the Mediterranean Ocean, and I have sand between my toes as I'm talking on this podcast. I live a life that makes me totally lit up. And if that life inspires you, wonderful. If you want to live a different life than you're living right now, then I would encourage you to do exactly what Rasana is encouraging, and that is unleash the powerhouse that's inside you. What lights you up? What makes you happy? What gives you joy? And don't worry about judgment. We're all being judged all the time. We're being judged every minute of every day. When I do a podcast, people will say, I don't like her red glasses, or, her lipstick is weird, or whatever. And that's fine. I don't like what she's saying. And that's fine. But it doesn't mean that I need to stop or not do it anymore or not stretch myself. And it doesn't mean that for you either. What you need to do is follow your bliss, figure out what lights you up, and go follow your fun.
Mm. I absolutely love what you're saying here. And I love the fact that you started with we get attached to people, to situations,
Yeah.
to places. And sometimes we don't appreciate how much the external world affects us. In fact,
Mm.
and the impact, and also perhaps the value that we get as information about ourselves, our own value,
Yes. Yes.
when we are being downplayed by others. And in fact, I was reading of a story. I think it was a sort of a social experiment that was done in Boston, if I remember correctly, back to 15 years ago or something. And there was this guy who went on the subway and started to play his violin. And after 45 minutes, an hour, he made a grand total of $30. And that man happened to be Joshua Bell, who was one of the most famous violinists in the world. And only a few days earlier had completely sold out the Boston Orchestra Hall. And to me, that story really meant that depending on where you are, your value can be
Mm.
different. And
Mm.
so our perception of our value sometimes is biased or skewed by what the environment tells us. What do you think about that?
What a beautiful analogy. That's just, it's so fantastic because the positioning that we're in, we may feel unworthy, unvaluable, but if we can tap into that universe or God power that's larger than us, we are divine beings of one kind or another. We are part of something huge, and we all have inherent value. And it does not matter that other people don't see it. I had the experience of being able to be at an event with one of my mentors, and she had just written a book called Worthy. Her name is Jamie Kern Lima, and she had just written this wonderful book called Worthy. And she said, she had been to her story is that she sold a makeup company that she had built in her garage, and been ignored as a Denny's waitress, making almost nothing. And she had eventually grew that business and sold it to, I believe, L'Oreal for 2 point something billion dollars. And so her story is sort of like I was nothing, and then I became, and I just she fought her way to it. What was interesting is that many times along the way, she was trying to sell this company to different people. And they just turned her down flat. There was just no after no after no after no after no after no. And she said, to the universe, why did they not see? Why am I not worthy? Why am I not valuable to them? And she said that she heard back, that got a download, that it's not that she wasn't worthy. She said, oh, no, no, I just hid your value from those people because they are not on your path. So I hid your immense value from them because I need you to go somewhere else. And eventually she went to the other place and was able to be acknowledged for that huge value that she had. And I think that that's sometimes our value is hidden to people. Certainly, if we're in any sort of abusive relationship, our value is hidden from that person. They do not see the value that we have. And so we need to remove ourselves from that situation. And if we're not seeing value in somebody else, maybe that's a lesson for us as well, that they are immensely valuable. They also have the universe and God power within them, and to be able to recognize that and see that in any other human. In your life, there is huge value, enormous value in what you're doing, and to be able to recognize that in other people is amazing.
Beautiful. So, what role does intuition have in being able to tap into that and in your potential and exploit the best of the situations?
Yes, I think intuition is a power inside all of us. We all have gut instinct. We can sense danger. We can sense things that are not feeling right, that are making us feel uncomfortable, that are making us feel weird, that are making us feel happy, that are making us feel excited, that are making us feel longing or hope or romance or love or lust or whatever it is, right? Those feelings are gut instincts. Those are all intuitive feelings, and being able to latch onto those feelings and be aware of them, and then acknowledge the ones that are helpful to us, and tap into those, are really good. There are some times where we are terrified of something that we shouldn't be terrified of, right? A spider, for example, or a microphone. Both of those, you're not going to die from them. I mean, I don't think you could die from most spiders, but you're not going to die from getting on stage, right? You're not going to die from a microphone. But we have that terror that creeps up in us that feels like that intuition says that we're going to be judged and it's going to be hard. But being able to really figure out, like, past that, if I do step into my power, if I do get on the microphone, if I do share my truth, if I do the thing, what will the upside of that be? Who else will benefit from me being able to do that? So if I am brave enough to share my story, if I am brave enough to step out of a bad relationship, if I am brave enough to tell somebody that I don't deserve to be treated like that, or that I want to raise, or that I want to spend more time with my children, if we have the courage to do that, what's on the upside of that? What's the benefit? Who benefits from us stepping out of our comfort zone? Everything that we've already done is in the comfort zone. We've already done it. We know what the outcome has been in the past. The things that we're afraid of are outside of that, but it's also where we evolve. It's also where we create, where we do new things. I speak about speaking, and I know that that's a terrifying thing for a lot of people. My mom is an artist, and you are creating these wonderful, beautiful, amazing things, but then immediately they are judged, right? Everybody who looks at them decides whether they're worthy of the price tag that's on them, decides whether it's worthy of hanging on a wall, decides whether it's worthy of entering into a competition, right? And everything that she creates is judged in one form or another. But she stays in the joy of it. She stays in the I create. Yes, I create to sell art, but I also create to allow people to experience it. And I also create because it gives me joy. It gives me personal joy to be able to create that. And if we can tap into that, I think that's what can make us very successful.
Mm, this is absolutely beautiful. I love it. Kimberly, there is one question that I always ask towards the end of the every single episode, and that has to do with the name of the podcast itself, Forgive and Thrive. Because A lot of the situations we experience in life can create a number of feelings and emotions, and some of them
Mhm.
may be disempowering if we stay for too long and we sit in them for too long. What is your recipe to release those emotions, these empowering emotions? And in line with Forgive and Thrive, do you think forgiveness or self-forgiveness has a role at all in unleashing our full potential?
Ooh, that's beautiful. The answer has to be yes. And what a beautiful way to phrase that question. Not only forgiveness, but self forgiveness as well. I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to get it right the first time. All of this is just one giant test kitchen. We get to try new things and experience new people and experience new things and experience the same things over and over again if we choose to. It's all an opportunity to do that. So, getting things wrong is just another experience that we can try. So the self-forgiveness, I think, is a big aspect. I will tell you that my life dramatically changed when I moved toward something that I call radical responsibility, that I accept responsibility for everything that happens in my life. And I know that when I was married and the marriage was coming to an end, one of the things I did by habit was point the finger. This is not my fault. This is his fault. He created this. He did this. This is why. He's the reason, right? And every time I pointed that finger and I was like, that's the reason. What I actually was doing was giving him the power to control my happiness. Now, he wasn't trying to control my happiness, but I was making him responsible for my unhappiness or happiness. And realizing what I had done in the partnership to create the scenarios that were making me unhappy was so enlightening, would be probably the best word for that. I realized that the things that I was doing to create the dynamic between the two of us was a huge contributor to why he was then reacting that way that was driving me crazy. So if I had stopped doing the things that I was doing, would he have changed in a way that would have made it easier for us to be compatible? And I did share that we're very good friends now, and we are divorced, but we are very good friends. We do not choose to be married anymore, but it is not a blame contain. It's not. There's not a lot of blame that goes back and forth for us. And I don't know if he had the same experience I did, but when I took responsibility for it, our relationship completely changed. And I'm not saying that I did the things he did, but what did I do to contribute to him doing the things that he did? And one small example is that I really always wanted us to vacation together, to do things together, to make decisions together, and like everything, like all the things together. And he wanted to go to concerts, and I wanted to travel. And just on those two examples that I've discussed already, because I wanted us to do the same things, I was creating situations where he couldn't really go to a concert without causing me to be frustrated because I didn't want to do that with him. And at the same time, he didn't want to travel as much as I did, certainly not full time. He didn't want to travel quite as much as I did. So when he wouldn't do that, I would be frustrated. But had I created a situation where I would joyously allow him to go to concerts and I would joyously allow myself to go travel. If I had created that scenario in our marriage, perhaps we could have had a lot less frustration and anxiety. And I was creating that dynamic, even though I was pointing the finger at him saying, he wants to do this and he won't do this with me and he blah blah blah, whatever it was. And there were many things, it wasn't just that one. But that sort of scenario where it's that push pull, and I thought we needed to do it this way. And once I realized that I was contributing to that dynamic, then when he was like, I'm not going to do it your way, I'm doing it my way, and you can go jump in a lake, He didn't really say that, but that's the feeling, right? That dynamic changed as soon as I let that go. And now we have a very good relationship. And he's gone to more than 300 concerts this year already, or seen more than 300 bands, because he'll go to a concert and it has 20 bands playing. And he loves it. He's super happy, and I'm happy for him. And I don't have to go.
What a beautiful story, and a beautiful story to change the step a little. And coming back on you and asking what are you working on, what you're planning for, the rest of the year, beginning on next year, and perhaps want to share with us.
Well, right now I do travel full time. I'm an international inspirational public speaker. We are working on helping other people become international inspirational public speakers, both virtually and in person. I have a cruise coming up in March of 2025 where we will bring a group of up to 100 speakers, and they will get a chance to speak on the cruise ship and become international speakers during the event. They'll have an opportunity to visit some beautiful places in the world, which I love, and they'll have an opportunity to bond with a group of people who are unleashing their power to change the world. And so, if your folks are interested in that, I would encourage them to speak up. Not everybody wants to travel full time, and not everybody can, but everybody can speak up and share their message with the world. And that's what I'm behind. I would love for you to speak up, grab a microphone, share your message with somebody else, tell your story to Rosanna or some other podcaster or some other interviewer where your message can get out there, because it matters. Your story matters, and we're here to listen.
What a beautiful message, and I couldn't agree more with that. So, if our listeners would like to know more about what you do and perhaps get in touch with you, where can they find you?
I love it. I would invite them to come check out Speakers Playhouse at speakersplayhouse.com. It's a free event. It happens online every Thursday morning from 10:30 a.m. to noon Pacific, which is in the afternoon for Eastern time zones, and in the evening here in Marbella, Spain. And it's an opportunity to be able to meet other speakers and other podcasters. It's a gamified networking event, and we give away a program from one of my joint venture partners every single week to the entire audience. So you win a program, you win a program, you win a program, everybody wins a program while we are there. It's a lot of fun. And if you want to check it out, come see us at Speakers Playhouse.
Wow, sounds so interesting. Fantastic. Kimberly, the very final question. If there was one take-home message that you would love everybody to remember from this conversation, what that would be?
Your message matters. And if you're not being seen, you're being overlooked. If you're not being heard, your message is not getting out there in the way it should. And if you're not regularly getting out on stages and platforms and speaking it to the truth, then it won't have the contribution to the world you want it to have before you leave the planet. So let's get you on a mic.
Well, as our journey together today draws to a close, I hope that you're feeling inspired, empowered, and also ready to take on the world with newfound vigor and determination. Whether you're seeking to overcome obstacles, pursue your passions, or simply live authentically, know that the power to do so lies within you. And with this in mind, I want to leave you with a quote from Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "Believe you can, and you are halfway there." Kimberly, thank you so much for accepting our invitation, for being such a powerhouse today here on the Forgive and Try show, and for sharing so much about your personal life, your story, and your positive message with us. I really loved our conversation. Thank you so much.
Rosanna, it was a true, true pleasure being here.
Thank you. Well, we would love to know what you think about this topic. Have you been downplaying your abilities and held yourself perhaps back? What that costed you? Let us know. Perhaps today's conversation with Kimberly will help you reposition yourself in a more empowered path for the future. But if you think that you could do with some extra help and support, don't forget to check Kimberly's website, work, and to follow her on social media. You will find all the links in the description of today's episode. Join me next time when we will continue exploring inspiring and challenging situations, because remember, we are together in this journey. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this content, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to hit the notification bell and like this video. See you in the next one.